No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under the bushel basket, but on a lampstand, and gives light to all the house. No one that lights a lamp, hides it under a bushel basket that will catch fire, but puts it on a stand, not just for themselves, but would light the entire house. We hear the second part of Matthew's Sermon on the Mount. Last week, we heard about the blessings. We heard that we are blessed. Not that we will be blessed if we do this, that, or the other thing, but we learned that we are blessed. No matter who we are, no matter where we've come from, no matter what we've done, no matter what we've thought about doing. That we are blessed. We heard that in clear and specific language of the Beatitudes Gospel. There was this little girl, and she was 12 years old, and she had these long braids. Every morning, her mother would braid these braids, and they said, I'm going to date myself, but there are a few of you similar ages, right? So there was that whole joke about, Mommy, my braids are too tight, right? It was like, braid those braids really tight. And every morning she'd braid those braids. And at 12 years old, she had completed confirmation in her congregational church and Christ remained, and she was sitting there, and she was full of anticipation, because every time, once you completed confirmation, not only did you get another bar for your little lapel, because that's what they do in the congregational church, you get these little bars for perfect attendance, which I was really good at attendance, not other things, right? But I was also going to get my Bible. And I got my Bible, and in that Bible, there was the underline, was this passage: do not let your light be put under a bushel. I didn't remember either being confirmed. I didn't remember my little Bible until many years later, when I had traveled many miles, when I had gone off the rails and been in the rails and found new rails and went all about God's busy world, and was trying to decide if I was supposed to follow this call to ministry, which I thought was preposterous. God called really good people to ministry. God called not people like me to ministry. And I do not believe I went looking for this Bible. God has been with me from the time I was little until, thanks be to God, today. And for some reason, I pulled out this Bible. I had signed up for this class to take my first seminary class. And I was on my way, I was driving down to Cambridge, and I was going to take this class, and everything was running around in my head. I wasn't smart enough. What if I wasn't smart enough? I didn't. Who goes to seminary? And what are people going to be like? They're all going to be so boring, and it's going to be, what's it going to be like, right? So I have all these millions of things running around in my head, and I walk in Thursday mornings, they have Eucharist in my church, and I walk in, and guess what the gospel? And for some reason, I had found that Bible, like pacing, ranting to God about whether I should do this or not. I found that Bible and found that verse that had been underlined. And I sat there in that Eucharist before I got in my car and drove to Cambridge the first day and thought, okay, God, just for today, I will do this. And I heard that we are blessed. I didn't hear that then, but I hear that now. What I heard then was God saying, just go. But what we heard last week, and what we are really called to hear this week, is we are already blessed. What do we do with it? We are already blessed. How is it that we can enhance the world? Think about salt. Salt. How many people have used too much salt in something? Thank you, Dan. Lots of hands. It can ruin something perfectly lovely. It can ruin something terribly bland. If you use too much, it's too salt is supposed to enhance the flavor of whatever you're making. Each one of us is that small bit. We aren't designed to be the whole pie. We aren't designed to be all of Christianity. People that know me know that one of the things I'll say, especially on a Sunday where I'm not tickled with the way I preached, I will say, well, the good news is I know I did not hurt Christianity today. Because it does not all rest on my shoulders, as it does not all rest on yours. But we are called to be that salt. And think about light. I didn't know this either, because I don't know things, but that light, you have one candle in a room, or one candle, it can, when your eyes adjust, light up the whole room. Yes, because God created these amazing human bodies we have, our eyes can adjust. No, it's not our power light, but it can light up a whole room. One light can be seen from 1.6 miles away, they say. Not the whole light, it's not the whole sun, but just a little bit. Jesus gave us last week the information that no matter how you feel today, if you feel lacking, if you feel less than, maybe if you feel like you're ready to roll, yes, you are part of the kingdom. And yes, it's important for us to share it. We don't get to share it alone, and some of us, have you ever been that person where at the end of a project, you looked back and thought, if I'd had people to help me, it might have gone differently? But you just, in your mind's eye, thought if I just do it myself, it would be so much easier, because of course it would be my way, and it would be faster. And God created us all so that we are part of something larger. Doesn't matter whether you're a little girl from a small town in Maine that was a bit lost, but knew God. It doesn't matter who you are or where you are. God can do anything with all of us, even in the midst of all that life can give us. This week I heard this wonderful story, and many of you may have heard it too. It's the story of this farmer who is a retired farmer in Alabama, actually in Geraldine, Alabama. My guess is that Mr. Hody and I are probably pretty different pieces of salt in the world. My guess is that Mr. Hody and I both are people in the world like you and you and you. What a story he has. Somewhere along the line, a couple of years, many years ago actually now, he went into his local pharmacy. He went into his local pharmacy and he said to the pharmacist there, are there ever people that come here and they can't afford their prescription? She looked at him, and the woman, she was still there in the news story, some of you may have seen it. She's a young woman, and she said, yes, that happens often. And he gave her a $100 bill, and he said, so when that happens again, use this. Don't tell anybody where it came from. And she took it. And each month, he would stop in, and he would give her $100. And each month, she would take it, and the same deal was true. Just don't tell anybody. But if someone comes in and they can't afford their prescription, use this to them. And in the news story, this young woman named Bree Slopin has a young son. He plays basketball, he plays sports, he's very active. And something happened where he needed an EpiPen, and he hadn't needed one before, he hadn't been to the doctor. They said that he was sent to this pharmacy to get an EpiPen. And the pharmacist looked at her and said, well, that would be $800. And she said, I just started to cry because I have this 16-year-old son that needs this EpiPen, but I didn't have the $800. But the pharmacist said, it's okay. It's all taken care of. And she said, I just started to weep. And I said, what do you mean it's all taken care of? And she said, it's all taken care of. Go take care of yourself. Get him to the doctor. She didn't know that Mr. Hody had been giving $100 every month for years. The pharmacist says she thinks before he died, and he died last New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. And in the course of the time from when he started to when he passed, he'd given probably $10,000. Just $100 a month. Just one little piece of salt, but just don't tell anybody. But how did we find this out? We found this out because when he started to feel poorly, he didn't want it to stop. Because my guess is, like any of you, when you start to do something for someone else, when you see outside yourself, when something like this happens, we are changed, right? And so he knew that what he was doing needed to continue. So he said to his daughter, I need you to do this for me. And they will know, just take it, and they will know what to do. And she said, I went and I said, I'm here. And they said, yes, we know what to do. She said in the interview that my guess is that my dad did this because we had times when we couldn't have paid for the prescription. We had times in our life when we wouldn't have known what was next. We had times in our life that were rough. And so somewhere he came upon this idea. We are all able to do little things. Now, maybe he could have been angry with the prescription drug industry. Maybe he would be mad about the politics of drug use. All those things might be true, but maybe one thing he could do, in spite of all the truths about big systems, when we all can feel overwhelmed, can't we? No matter where we are in the spectrum of things, we can feel overwhelmed by, I've got nothing. I am done. I voted, and now what? The heck do you want me to do? But somehow, in his wisdom, he found an action. Just one simple action. And then when people found out, a man from Washington called this pharmacist and said, I want to pay for 12 months. She says, I keep getting random checks when people hear this story. Then another man from Miami called her and said, I'm just going to start my own down here, but I want to thank you for making sure the story is told. We are salt. We are light. Sometimes in little ways, sometimes in bigger ways. Sometimes God calls us and reminds us, like God did with me. Sometimes we hear stories like this retired Alabama farmer who had soul and grace and found a way to be able to give back just a little bit that made a big difference to people. We hear this morning the message that each one of us are blessed. And we also then hear the message of what is it that we are called to do. I want to leave us this morning with a prayer from theologian Matthew Meyer Poulin. And this is his prayer. You are salt and light. God made you to bless the world. You may feel small and insignificant, but like a pinch of salt or a spark of light, you can make a tremendous difference. Go boldly. Go boldly then, and be who you are, for heaven's sake, and don't hide your light. Don't hide your light. Go and shine for all the world to see. And only you know what that means. Because even as Mr. Poulin did for all those years, he didn't want anyone to know. Someone knew. The light still wasn't there. And then at the end of the day, is God's surprising way of being. We continue to be surprised. And here we are this morning hearing his story and being reminded that with God anything is possible. And it isn't that we pray to be blessed. Gracious God, bless me. It is, I am already blessed. Let us go and be boldly light. Let us go and be boldly salt. No matter who you are, no matter where you came from, and no matter what your own tapes say. Listen to the task, and then do the next right thing. Be bold.